What's good, y'all? I already know where y'all at. It's your boy Star Jones, and it's a new episode of Star Views. It's about to start right now. So please, I hope you got your hookah ready, and I hope you got your cups full of whatever ready, because I got a lot to talk about, alright? Know what's going on. Star Jones, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Please and thanks, you heard? Focus your man Star Jones. We back with another episode of Star Views. And this is the final movie of the month of August. Another horror flick for the summer. Uh, Candyman 2021. I put an emphasis on the year only because we had a movie of the same title that dropped in the early 90s in 1992. As I mentioned in my chopping up video at the beginning of the month, I mentioned that this Candyman would be, I guess, essentially a spiritual sequel. At least that's what I kept reading online. And several weeks later, I still don't exactly know what a spiritual sequel is, but that just is what it is. So, um, this is starring Yahya Abdul Mateen. We've seen him in films like Aquaman, where he played Black Manta. I think he did good. Think he did really well in that role. But we also seen him in Black Mirror, where he played son who was obsessed with having sex in video games. Opposite Anthony Mackie, excuse me. And then we got Tiona, hope I'm saying her name right, Tiona Paris. We've seen her recently in WandaVision as Spectrum. Um, and we're going to see a lot more of her in the MCU coming in these future dates with these future titles. So, nice little cast there. Um, and then, we're going to get back and we're going to tell you exactly what transpired in the film. And I'm gonna try to limit the spoilers. I don't think I gotta give you too many spoilers. Um, so yeah, I don't think I gotta give you too many spoilers. So I'll be back in a second. I'm gonna pull my drink, and we're gonna get right how we get right. So, Candyman 2021, and don't keep count, all right? Because I'm not keeping count of how many times I say it. Because I personally, I'm not. I'm saying it out loud. I'm not participating in this shit, all right? So that's that. So anywho, so Candyman 2021. We're introduced to Yaya's character, who is goes by the name of Anthony McCoy. He's a painter. So pretty much, okay. Before we get to that, the opening scene of the film, we're introduced to this little boy. I'm not gonna say his name because again, I guess essentially he's a pivotal character in the film later on. So we see this little boy, and he's in Carabini Green Projects, I believe. Carabini Green is the name of the projects. Cabrini. So pretty much Cabrini Projects is, and this is some history in the film. Cabrini Projects or Cabrini Green Towers is was one of like the first projects created back in the day in Chicago. And y'all all know the history about Chicago, how the blacks were forced to move out the suburbs and they were all placed in the project buildings. And then essentially this is how the evolution of violence in the city of Chicago grew. Because you had a whole bunch of people condensed in one area. There weren't many jobs afforded to them. Schooling sucked. So it just was it was just a bad situation for black folks. And this is a prime example of that. So we see this young kid in the projects, as I mentioned, and he's going to the laundry room to wash his clothes, and we're introduced to who we think is Candyman. Um, and then, and this was like in the 70s. So he screams, opening credits roll, and now we're in present day Chicago. Again, we don't know what happened to the gentleman off screen, the little kid off screen. We just know he screams, and then the movie progresses. Then again, we're introduced, like I mentioned before, we're introduced to the character of Anthony McCoy and his girlfriend, and they now live in Cabrini, but now it's a gentrified Cabrini. It's no longer the ghetto. It's no longer the projects. It's now gentrified. The hipsters moved in, they knocked the tower down, and now you got a whole bunch of Starbucks and things like that, and art studios all around what used to be the ghetto. So as the story unfolds, as I mentioned, Anthony McCoy is a painter. So I guess he was losing inspiration for his paintings because a high end art dealer was telling him like, "Yo, listen, man, your paintings they're not hitting the same. Pretty much, they're lacking the oomph that they had before, and I don't know what you need to do, but you need to get some type of inspiration." So one day, Anthony decides he's going to go through the old projects that are now gated and are constantly monitored by the police officers of Chicago. Because again, those projects are still in place, but ultimately the city has plans on destroying them for developers. So he goes in there, he begins to look around to, get some inspiration for his paintings. Because I think from what I took from the movie, his paintings are very deep. They have symbolic meaning, and his paintings usually have, like, they depict violence to convey the message. That's what I got. I could be wrong. I'm no artist, but from what I saw. So when he went there and he meets this guy. I forget his last. I think his name is something Burke. So he meets this guy Burke. He owns a laundromat near where the projects used to be, and he begins to like interview him and ask him questions about what it was like growing up there. And now that this has happened, this is when the story begins. This is when the Burke dude starts to tell him the backstory on Candyman and what exactly transpired and how he came about and how he was the person that becomes the murderer that goes around killing people was actually a victim of police brutality, mistaken identity, etc. I won't give you too much details because again I think that's important for the story. But pretty much he was a victim of police brutality and it's quite the story. It's interesting. I'm not going to front. All right, and then once he tells him that story, it ultimately piques Anthony's interest to the 10th degree, and then that's when he starts spiraling into the descent of madness because now he's exposing everybody to this myth of this serial killer. And so now everybody that's around now goes to his art exhibits, they see his new art. But again, his art is very violent now. It becomes very, very violent and very like horror. Like the paintings are very scary. They went from like having like a subtle, I guess, scariness to him to like a full on like this is ugly. I wouldn't put it in my crib. But again, art folks like weird shit like that. So it begins appealing to people, but in the process, he's like introducing the idea of Candyman. So now people are, oh well, they said if you go in the mirror and you say the name 5 times, he gonna pull up. Me, I ain't never doing that. But this is the movie. So of course people attempt it. So people go and they do it. And then that's when all the murders start to happen. So that's pretty much the movie. The movie is kind of like Anthony McCoy. He's looking around, trying to find his way, trying to get inspiration for his art. But in the process, he unlocks this history and unleashes the whole Candyman destruction. I guess that's the best way I could put it. So that's the movie. 2 hours. 2 hours. 2 hours. 2 hours. When I come back, I'm gonna tell you what I'm grading the film and ultimately how I feel about it and whether or not you guys should see it. All right. So I'll be back in 2 ticks. I'll be back. So we back, folks. Y'all already know my favorite part of the show. I'm sure this is all your favorite parts of the show. I'm sure y'all only pull up to know whether or not you guys should go see the movie. So let's get into it. I'm gonna start with the pros of the film. I do like the cast. Like I said, Yahya Abdul-Mateen. Outside of the Black Mirror stuff, I like I said, I like how he portrayed Black Manta in the Aquaman film, and that was one of the bright spots of the film because I personally did not like the Aquaman film. That is definitely one of the bottom tier flicks in the DCEU, but that's for another conversation. But again, Yahya Abdul Mateen as an actor, I'm cool with that casting. Tiana Paris, I'm cool with her as well. That's definitely a plus. Um, Definitely like what I see from her in the MCU. Look at that. They're rivals. DCEU character and then an MCU character in the movie together with Jordan Peele. Shout out to Jordan Peele. I think Jordan Peele is a great mind. Excuse me, pardon me. I think Jordan Peele is a great mind. A lot of his work has meaning, and that brings me to my next pro. As I mentioned in the introduction, this movie has a lot of history as far as what the black people in Chicago had to go through and how it translated until now, present time. I like the fact that Jordan Peele was able to convey that message and kind of give you a little history lesson on how and why Chicago is the way it is today. So I could definitely appreciate that. And spotlighting how gentrification can be a positive thing, but it also can ruin the lives of African Americans because it puts them out and it makes the situation worse. So yeah, I definitely applaud that, and I could appreciate that. Now, as far as cons are concerned, I think the movie was boring, very very boring. Um, as much as I could appreciate the history lesson and the perspective, I thought the movie was extremely boring. Maybe like an hour and some change into the film, I was watching my phone, and usually when I begin to watch my phone, it's not a good thing. Um, I begin to start to get antsy, and yeah, that's why when I was breaking down the film, I put emphasis on 2 hours. This movie was 2 hours, and it was boring. Like I said, it's boring. It was not scary, and I'm not a person that's easily scared. Um, in all honesty, but still, sometimes I want to jump and be like, oh shit, like I want one of those. I like jump scares sometimes. Especially when I'm going to a scary movie. That's anticipated. I expect that, and I just never had one of those moments. It was a little gory. It was a little gross, but it was like gross. It was just gross. It wasn't like like it just was gross. Like with the bee sting when he gets stung by the bee and his body starts to deteriorate. It was kind of it wasn't scary. It was just gross. So I was that. Again, I feel like the beginning of the movie reels you in, and then by the middle act of the film, second, third act of the film, it was just like it just flatlined. So I just didn't enjoy it. I just feel like the way the movie was hyped up, and this is supposed to be a sequel from the movie that was raved and beloved from back in the day, where people were scared and terrified. And I was as a kid could attest that I wanted nothing to do with this movie. So I walked into it like, well, this might just be a little scary, but it wasn't. Um, this was something I could have literally watched in the crib. I didn't have to spend $15 to go see it. I could have definitely just, waited till it came online. But this is what I'm here for, to let you guys know, not to spend your money. So with all that said, I'm gonna give this movie 5 stars. I don't think it was terrible. I think it was really average. Five of them Jones. 5 stars. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And I really give it 5 stars because of how it started. And throughout the course of the film, it gives you history, and I can appreciate African American history and showing why places are the way they are. You know, so 5 stars. I won't even really push the issue as far as going to see it, because it's not even scary. Like if you're a horror fan, a movie buff, you're not even gonna be scared. So like, yeah, it just yeah. Um, in all honesty, Jordan Peele, I love him, and I like the ideas that he has. It just doesn't really translate well. Um, Get Out was amazing. Us was disappointing, and now this is also disappointing. So hopefully, maybe the next go around, Jordan Peele could get it right, and it could just translate all the way like Get Out did. And again, at the time, Get Out was one of the better movies that I seen that year, and I believe it was at 2016. So hopefully we could get it right. So again, 5 stars. That's it for August. Hopefully September could be better. The summer's coming to a close. I was not thrilled with this summer in the movies, so maybe we could get some Shang-Chi action in September, and maybe it could save the summer. But we shall see. Next time you guys will see me, will be on Chopping It Up, and I'll be telling you guys what to look out for in September. I know for a fact Shang-Chi is coming out this week, so I'm gonna have that for y'all next weekend. And then as far as the rest of the month, I'm not too sure. I think it's pretty much a slow month, but we shall see. That's my time, folks. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night. Oh, y'all still here? Appreciate y'all for sticking around, man. But I don't got no more hookah. But what I do have is more content on my YouTube channel. So please, if you haven't done so already, hit that red button and subscribe. Hit the bell so you get notified as soon as I post anything. All right? And if you haven't already followed me on social media, here's my information. Make sure y'all follow up. Appreciate it. Y'all still here, man. That's valid. Have a good one.